Thank you for joining us as we continue our look at the SIMA Web Seminar Series. Ever wonder about the salt supply chain? Let's listen in as the Salt Institute's Dick Hanneman describes the process in the 2008 webinar, Salt, Secure Your Supply and Use It Wisely.
Is produced every year, of which just a small percentage is used for de-icing roads in North America. So there is plenty of other salt available. Of course, there's other competing uses for all of that salt, but there's certainly plenty of flexibility in the system as well. This is a schematic of a salt mine. Most rock salt is used for highway de-icing, and in North America, most de-icing is done using rock salt, although any salt will be the same in terms of its chemical properties. In Europe, they frequently use evaporated salt like table salt, and we oftentimes in the Rocky Mountain West will use solar salt from the Great Salt Lake in this case. All of it chemically is the same, but the way we produce most of the salt is to send miners deep into the earth, and it can be hundreds and hundreds of feet, usually is at least 1,000 feet underground, and then they'll hollow it out, and you can see on the right how it's a room and pillar system of mines. But that's just the beginning. The salt can be mined in any number of areas. The point I'd like to make for most of you is that there's a lot of salt in the Great Lakes area. There are mines in Ontario, in Michigan, and 2 in northern Ohio, and then in upstate New York, but not on the water. All of those can service not only the land masses, but be shipped by water. And then Louisiana produces more salt than any other jurisdiction, any other state in the U.S. or Canadian province, and that is almost all shipped right up the Mississippi and can go as far as Chicago through the Illinois River. On the Great Lakes, this would be a typical vessel. You can note the arm, which is the conveyor belt, which is a self-unloading vessel, so it doesn't have to go into a public port. It can pull up really anywhere where it can get close enough to the shore. And this is the way it operates. And this would be a barge typically moving up the Mississippi. As I said, there's a lot of barge traffic on the Mississippi. It used to be that it was the cheap backhaul going upriver when we were shipping grain out downriver from Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa. Now all that grain in the upper Midwest primarily goes to local ethanol plants, so the salt going upriver becomes a prime commodity and is a little more costly, therefore, to do it. It goes through a series of locks and dams as it goes upriver, and it takes a while, and that's the main thing to remember. It takes a while, but it being a heavy bulk commodity moves much more inexpensively when it's moved by water. If we have to ship it by rail or by truck, and of course the final miles to the customer are always by truck, it's a lot more expensive. Barge traffic is more expensive than it was 10 years ago, but rail traffic is very inconsistent, so if you don't have a lot of lead time, trucking it is really your only option after the waterways are denied because of ice later in the season. This would be a typical stockpile. They can easily exceed 100,000 tons at a mine. They could easily exceed 500,000 tons, and we maintain these as resupply areas to our customers. The key thing for SIMA members is to make sure that in your contracts you recognize all of these risks, the weather risks and the risks in transportation that have to be factored in as the two parties try to fashion a win-win contract. And then after it comes out of the regional stockpiles that we operate, it will go by truck and be stored. Very important, not only that you have some sort of storage, but that it be environmentally controlled and that you have sufficient amount of it. We've been advertising to our customers for 30 years or more that the appropriate amount to store before the season starts is the average year for a 5-year average, the average annual use for your facility. for your business, and then it would go obviously into the back of the vehicles that you're going to be using.
If you would like to purchase the CD-ROM of this or any other past SIMA web seminar, please visit the SIMA website at www.sima.org. This program is copyright 2010 by the Snow and Ice Management Association, with all rights reserved.